circle bright, weave your web of dark and light, earth, air, fire.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Witches of the Moon. I am your Monday hostess, Natalie, and I would like to welcome you back to season 13, the magical number for Witches of the Moon. I am so thankful that you've chosen to join us today, and I think that we have an exciting season for you. This season, we do have some changes in the lineup. As many of you may know, Jennifer Hodgson has stepped away from Witches of the Moon. She had a new book come out, and she's going to be doing some other projects that are taking up more of her time than she is able to devote to the channel. So while we bid a sad and fond adieu to Jennifer, we are welcoming a new Tuesday host to the lineup, and I'm not going to spill the beans on who that is. I'll wait and let you find that out tomorrow. Now, for our first topic this season, this was a topic that was recommended by viewers. Came up in a couple of different ways by a few different viewers, but since this is season 13, we chose 13 as the number, and so we are doing for our first week 13 things that we love about being a witch. What makes it such a wonderful spiritual path? Now, as you can see, I have my paper here that I have actually taken the time to write this out because this is going to go into my grimoire. I thought about it after a while, and it took me some time to come up with the things that I wanted to say, because there's so much about being a witch, isn't there? It's so pervasive. It is your religion in some ways. For some people, for me, it certainly is, because for me, a religion is the rules and ideologies that govern our day-to-day actions, right? So for me, witchcraft is a religion, but it's also a very personal path, and so it's one that I had a difficult time narrowing down just 13 things that I could say about the craft that make it special to me as a path. And so I'm going to do my best to share that with you here, and I hope that you enjoy what I have to say. I would love to see your comments in the space below on what yours are. I love interaction, so please join in and chip in with a few things that you love. The first thing that I love about being a witch is that I am responsible for my own actions. Witchcraft is a path that isn't the devil made me do it, right? You own that shit. If you did it, you did it. It can be traced back to you. When we cast a spell, if we do some form of malediction, a binding spell, a poppet, a curse, a hex, there is an element of that is traceable back to us. So we have to own it. It is personal responsibility. And with personal responsibility comes great freedom and responsibility. Power. Right? With personal responsibility comes great power. And without responsibility, there is no power, right? It's that double-edged sword. I've heard responsibility called the ugly cousin or the ugly stepsister to power. And I don't think it's an ugly stepsister. I think that it is a sister, and it's something that goes hand in hand. You don't have power without responsibility. You don't have responsibility without some level of personal power. That for me is the number one thing that draws me to the path. I own it. I did it. I do it. I own it. And I love that, because with that comes a great amount of personal freedom, which is my second thing that I love about being a witch. I get to define me. I don't have to live by somebody else's definition of what a wife is, what a mother is, what a human is, what a woman is, what a witch is. I'm me. I do it my way. I get that freedom because I take that responsibility. And so for me, it's extraordinarily freedom giving. The third thing that I love about being a witch is my connection that I have gained to my ancestors. I now feel truly a very deep and personal connection to my roots. Roots have always been important to me as a child. And I don't particularly know why, because it's not like we moved around a lot as children. We moved once in my entire life until I was an adult. And it was from Colorado to Texas. Now, I felt very uprooted. I took a long time to make new friends. It was very hard for me. But at the same time, I now feel a deep connection to my ancestors and believe that I could be sent anywhere and feel at home. I am one with nature, with my ancestors, with those that have come before and those that will come after. I am non-linear at this point, and that to me has been one of the greatest gifts of the craft. Having that connection. I am never alone. There are always like-minded people. Growing up as a child, I felt very alone. You know, I was weird, which, by the way, is number 11 on my list. But I was not your normal kid. Everybody around me knew it. There were people that were uncomfortable around me because of it. And I did not have a lot of friends growing up. I still don't have a lot of friends, people I consider true friends. But at the same time, I don't feel alone. There is a connection to those that have come before and those that will come after that surpasses time. It transcends time and a being. And it is one of the greatest gifts that being a witch could ever give you, is that connection. And in turn with that goes your connection to community. We have a connection, a community of witches. Now, I know there's been a lot of strife and a lot of drama and a lot of back and forthing, and I'm setting aside all politics on this because politics is divisive, period. It just is. And I don't like it. It's a natural evil, I'm afraid, but it is there. And despite that, I feel a deep connection to my fellow witches in terms of being able to converse with them regarding spellcraft, to take their ideas and help form them into my own ideas and learn and grow as a human being and as a witch. And so that connection to community is very, very important to me. Number 5 for me is I get to believe in magic. What greater gift could there be than to believe in magic? I know it's real. I don't need someone to tell me, oh, magic isn't real. I know it is. I get to believe in it as a witch. That is so freeing in and of itself, because I think that not only do I believe magic is a real thing, it is a real, tangible, physical thing you can feel, like love and friendship and unfortunately hatred and anger and all of that. Magic is all around us. But we as a human species, and due to this, separation of the magical and spiritual from us as a human being, instead of accepting that we are part of that spiritual world and that magic is a real thing and that it's all around us, it's that energy that buzzes all around us all the time, we've separated ourselves from that. I think that other religions of the book separate you from that. They put God here and you're here instead of God is within and without, right? They say it, but it's lip service. God is really somebody up here and you're down here, okay? It denies our own divine nature as part of creation, as part of the God. Everything that is created has some part of the Lord and Lady in it. So therefore we have that in us as well. As a witch, I get to believe that. I get to live that. I get to have a magical life. And that to me is a fabulous gift of witchcraft. The 6th thing that I love about being a witch is that I'm always learning. It's never done. You're never going to be done learning, which I believe you're never done learning anyway. But when you look at the world of science, there's always research, there's always new things coming out, but you get to your terminal degree. You get your doctorate and it becomes a terminal degree and you're done, right? You're not going to school anymore. Now, I believe that as human beings, as a species, we are always learning and growing and adapting and so forth. And so, it's it's okay. But with witchcraft, there's always something new to learn and absorb. There's always a new path or a new initiatory rite that you can learn about. There's things about yourself you learn as a witch all the time, things that are revealed when you're an astral traveler, you're flying or you're sleeping and so forth, and things come to you and you're open to that. You're always learning. Now, that to me leads to number 7, which is an inner calm. I know that I'm in control of my life because I have responsibility and freedom and magic. I'm in control. Therefore, I feel a much better inner calm. I meditate daily, which helps me to center myself and to stay within there. And it's not that I don't feel frustration and anger and all of those things, because I'm human and I do. But I'm also magical, and I know ultimately that I'm in control of my life, that I can set up some sort of spellcraft or do an incantation or simply set my intent forward and shift that energy. I'm in control, and I love it. The 8th thing that I love about being a witch, and I kind of struggled with where to put this on my list. So although I put responsibility at the top of my list, know that the others kind of fall in place. It's weird. I knew what I wanted as the first thing, and I knew what I wanted as the last thing, but everything else was kind of a struggle as to where to put it on the list. And one of the things that I love about being a witch is having so many different modalities for helping other people. As a master's of science and a speech language pathologist, I help people daily to learn to communicate more effectively, and I think communication is magic. The fact that we are the only species that communicates with speech itself. Not that other species don't vocalize and communicate, but we have a very complex system. And not just one. Think about how many languages there are in the world. How remarkable is that? That's not magic. I don't know what is. But communication is the key. We're always seeking communication, which is connection. We open and close circles of communication with each other all the time. There's a little Greenspan for you folks, a little Dr. Greenspan. But there's so many different ways to help others within the craft that it's amazing to me. You have pranic healing, you have spellcraft directly, you have things that you can do to help open doors, close doors, shift things, move things, Reiki, hoodoo, voodoo. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways in which you can help shape the lives of those around you and make this a better planet. That it's amazing to me that not everybody just is a witch. I mean, honestly, it amazes me. But being able to help others in magical as well as practical ways is just magic. I mean, it's witchcraft. It's amazing to me, and it's one of the things that I really love about the craft. Number 9 for me is the melding of science and magic. And this is something that I'm having a hard time getting my husband to understand. The two worlds are really not separate. And that's the problem with religions like Christianity, is it tries to separate science from the spiritual. And you cannot separate science from the spiritual. They are two sides of one coin, in my opinion. And, it's all there together. So having the melding of the two, and there's no denial, and especially if you listen to people like Laurie Cabot, there's a science behind the magic. Magic and science are one. And today's witchcraft is tomorrow's science. When you think about all the things we do today that we just take for granted, that 200 years ago, they would have thought we were a witch. You flip on a switch and a light turns on. Oh my God, what is that? That harnessing of energy to me is simply science-based, but we understand it better now, and we're able to absorb it within our lives. And as witches, we accept it as just a known thing, and we take it and we deal with it. We work with it. We appreciate it, I think, a lot more. And it's that melding of science and magic and the physical and the natural worlds that's just unbelievable within witchcraft, and I love it. That's number 9 for me. Number 10, herbs. Herbs and crystals. Who doesn't love herbs and crystals? I always got a rock for everything and an herb for everything. The fact that we can take these naturally occurring things and use them, it's it's fabulous. Plus, it makes your food taste great. Number 11 was what I mentioned earlier. Being weird. I get to just be me. I'm weird and I'm fabulous. And, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine. But I get to just be me. And I love that. And that goes back to number 2, that freedom. That absolute freedom. I get to be weird. And I mean W-Y-R-D. W-Y-R-D. I'm weird. But I'm also W-E-I-R-D. I am also weird. I'm just a weird person. I've always been a weird person. It just goes with who I am and the fact that I'm a witch. People, you say, oh, she's a witch. And people are like, oh, yeah, that explains it, right? But they accept it. And that's how it is. And what's funny is my husband just admitted to me that he's been telling his coworker that I'm a witch. I'm like, what are you doing? Cha. But she seemed to take it in a lump, and I guess it came up because she was carrying a crystal selenite in her pocket. But I get to be weird. I get to be me. I get to be unique and different and fabulous and horrible and all of those things all in one. And again, that goes back to that sense of freedom. So, just being me. Trying to be normal was like trying to wear a shoe that was 2 sizes too small. I would squeeze myself into that thing, but it was so uncomfortable, I couldn't even breathe. So I'm just me. Number 12 is being able to celebrate all year. I'm like your ultimate party person, believe it or not. I just don't party like most people party. Okay, I love to dance. I love to move. I like music. And to me, music is magic. Dance is magic. You're moving your body in odd ways. But being able to celebrate, there is always something to celebrate. Now, those of you that are familiar with the Catholic Church may be sitting back going, well, we celebrate the catechism of the year, the liturgical year. But you don't really celebrate, do you? You have feast days, but when was the last time you actually feasted on that feast day for anybody? Because every day is a feast day for somebody, frankly. But I like being able to acknowledge and appreciate the various seasons through the year, all year. There's always a Sabbath to be celebrated, a season to be appreciative of. And so inherently, witchcraft carries with it. God, my glasses are crooked. Whoo! I'm an ex-optician, folks. Anyway, and I said, sorry. But that celebration throughout the year is one of the things that I love about being a witch, because just when you're getting tired of one season, you're moving into the next, right? And it's a constant cycle of gratitude and celebration that I just adore. And number 13 is the intuition and connection with spirit that comes with being a witch. Some of these things that I talked about kind of are threads that run through a fabric, right? All of them are threads that run through a fabric. It's present throughout the entire fabric. You can't really just pull out the one thread. And that's kind of what this topic was like for me, was trying to pull individual threads out of a sweater or out of a piece of fabric without unraveling the whole thing. For me, they're all intertwined and interconnected, but it's that interconnected building of intuition and the knowing. Nobody can pull the wool over your eyes. Excuse me. It's very hard to bullshit a witch. It's very hard to be insincere. And I absolutely, totally, 100% detest insincerity and hypocrisy. So, while we are all sometimes Hippocratic, I guess, we all are hypocritical at times. But we don't have to be insincere. And it's the sincerity and intuition that comes along with being a witch that I absolutely adore. That developing of that spiritual knowledge and that connection with spirit where it whispers in your ear. When you have a servitor like my dragon, or you have a familiar, just that inner knowing, that whispering in your head from your ancestors, your spirit guides, telling you, and the knowing. It's a double-edged sword, right? sometimes the knowing isn't great. We know instinctively when something's off or not right, and it may be something we desperately want or someone that we desperately want, and we know that they're not being sincere. And so that can be painful, but you know what? It's much better than the gangrene that grows with falsehood. And so the intuition and inner knowing and the connectionness to spirit would be the 13th thing that I love about being a witch, because it's protective. Not always pleasant, often painful, but definitely necessary for personal growth and for having a full and fulfilling life. And so, with that, I bid you adieu. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week on Which is the Moon.